checking and corrections are encouraged.
Can we get a cup of coffee in here, please?
Damn good coffee and hot.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with the Dog. You make me laugh.
I don't make everybody laugh. Obviously, I wouldn't get hate mail if I made everybody laugh. Wait now. Good morning, folks. It's Monday, August 7th, 2023. When I say wait now. Good Monday morning. It is rainy and thunderstorms here, and forecast is for dangerous thunderstorms. I hope it's a better day wherever you are. I hope the black smoke is done in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where Craig is journaling some kind of dumpster fire. I don't know, dumpster fire, recycling plant fire, something like that. Big old plumes of black smoke filling the air in Albuquerque yesterday. Seemed to go on for many hours and blah, 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 blah. Hope it's a beautiful day wherever you are. Summer's not over yet. Last night was a beautiful night. Out here on Long Island on the East End, taking a drive on the East End, and just a perfect night to be taking in farm country. Anyway, I guess you gotta be really careful how you word things and say things, and comedians especially can have a pretty thin skin. Anybody who's in the creative arts, I know, even myself, can have a pretty a thin skin at times, and you say stuff the wrong way, and you hurt their feelings, or you say something to piss them off. Apparently, it happened last night on Twitter with Amy Miller, who I am a fan of. Just finding out this morning that we were talking about women comedians, Becky and I, on Twitter yesterday, because backtrack a little bit. Friday night, some people who are older dudes who are part of AA came to my gig. Yeah, they came to my gig because I know one of them. One of them is part of my life. Trying to protect the anonymity, the second A there. Anyway, the AA guys, all older than me. We're talking comedy, and the subject of women in comedy came up because my brother, who was one of the people in the group, said he really liked Erica Rhodes' special that I sent him, and thought she was really funny. And then he said, I don't usually like women comics. And then they all started, chiming in how they don't like women comedians. And the discussion turned to how they don't like women comedians. And I stated that, there's a bunch of women comedians that I like. And I named a few, and I said so many others. And then Becky mentioned some people, and Amy Miller was one of them. And I said, Amy Miller was supposed to be on the show last year, and she made an excuse the day before. Apparently saying that she made an excuse the day before was interpreted as a put down, an insult, whatever. I have apologized. I did not mean it as an insult. It's just a factual thing. She was supposed to be on the show March 15th of 2022. the day before, she wrote to me and made an excuse. The excuse was a good one. It was related to COVID. I don't remember if she had COVID or she was having a reaction. I think it was a reaction to a vaccine or something. She had just gotten the vaccine and it was knocking her out. Whatever. She made an excuse the day before. That's just factual. But apparently that caused her to block me and say it was a good thing. I made a good decision not to be on the show or whatever. That bothers me. It definitely bothers me. Because I am a fan. I'm a fan, and whatever. I did not mean to be insulting about that. I was just being factual about it. We did have her scheduled to be on the show. Was looking forward to it, and she made an excuse the day before and canceled. It's not uncommon. At least she made an excuse and canceled. Some often, as you probably are aware, people don't make an excuse. They just don't show up. Anyway, Amy, if you're out there listening, and I know you're not, but if anybody knows her, tell her. And I have told her. I wrote to her and said, "Listen, if I hurt your feelings, I apologize. I did not. That was not the intent. I wasn't saying that to be an asshole. I do say things to be an asshole, but not to people I'm a fan of. Speaking of that, me being an asshole. Friday night, the band was working with a sub drummer. I don't like working with subs. I probably have ranted too many times, and it gets to be a broken record. But also, I had a friend in town who was sitting in with the band. So we had two people who don't know. They're not part of the band, and especially the drummer. And here's the thing. When this is a drummer. It was the second time he played with us. The first time he played with us was at a indoor restaurant. It was very loungy type of thing, hitting soft, and he was loose, to say the least. But because it was a low volume thing, it didn't really matter. Friday night was supposed to be a rocking thing. It was outdoors, full blown PA, everything mic'd up, and he was awful. He was awful. I said before he even got the gig, Scott had mentioned him. Scott's the bass player. Scott had said, "Well, I know this guy Jim, blah 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 blah," and I said, "Well, I don't know him, and it probably will end up being a disaster." Scott said, Can we afford to not, to be choosy?" I said, "Yeah, I can. I can not do the gig." "Oh no, we should give him a shot." I said, "Well, here's what you do," and this is what I've done this before. I said, "Tell him up front that I am a total dick. Let's be honest about it. I am a total dick to subs, and if he ruins my gig, I will ruin his life. I will torch him on social media saying he can't play, he sucks. I will go on my radio show the next morning and say, fuck this guy, never hire him again. Tell him that up front." Scott did. And he called me and I said, "Did Scott tell you that if you ruin my gig, I'm going to be extremely upset?" Yeah, I'm not going to do it, man. I really appreciate it. I could do this. I know the material, blah. Okay. So we did the first gig and he was not tight, but he didn't ruin the gig. But Friday night he was ruining my gig. I've been ruining it. And I told you I was going to be a dick if you ruined my gig. And I was turned around almost the entire gig, yelling at the drummer, "Fucking smack the backbeat. Stop trying to be so fucking fancy, trying to fucking put in jazz fills and shit you don't know. You're missing one. You can't count fucking one. You can't hit one." And I was losing it, man. And there has come a time in the past where I have told the guy to pack up his equipment and get the fuck off my stage in the middle of a gig and embarrass them. And the band, Mikey especially, was expecting that to happen any minute. And he was getting nervous that I was at that point where I was going to say, "Pack up your drums and get the fuck off my stage. We'll do this without a drummer." I didn't do that. In hindsight, I probably should have. The gig would have gone better. But I was turning around yelling at him, smack a fucking backbeat, put those fucking hot sticks away and pick up some real sticks. Stop with the fucking jazz fills. I tell him, stop with the jazz fills. He shakes his head, understands. Yeah, you're overcomplicating stuff. Yeah, I get it. And then immediately does a jazz fill and misses one. Misses coming back on one. And I'm fucking losing my mind now. My job with the band is to keep Mikey on track. Mikey's the front man and he's an entertainer. And he gets out there and he dances, he does his thing. And if he doesn't have some anchor, me keeping him locked in, he gets lost. He forgets words, he forgets where we are in the song, all that kind of stuff. It's my job to concentrate on keeping Mikey in line. I can't be spending my entire gig at the back of the stage yelling at the drummer and Mikey's getting lost. And that's what was happening. Scott, who invited this guy on, does nothing to help keep him in line. So I am being a dick, and the audience sees me being a dick. I know it's because people have talked to me about it since it was Friday night, and I've talked to several people who were in the audience. And man, you were yelling at the drummer the whole gig. Yes, I was. And the thing is, I told them in advance, don't take the gig if you can't do it, because I will embarrass you. I will be a dick. Now, I posted this on Facebook that this is who I am, this is what I do. And people who know me for 25 years now, followed the band. Oh no, I can't believe this. Scott, who was in the band, yeah, he's telling the truth. Because Scott, when he started as a sub. And I'm still a dick to Scott when he fucking messes up. And Mikey is too. 4 years in, Scott's been playing with us. We're still a dick to him. But this is my life, man. I ain't doing it for fucking money. I'm doing it for the enjoyment of it. And if you ruin my time, you make me fucking drive 2.5 hours to a show, set up, do all the work that's involved, and then you fuck it up for me. I get a little upset. And again, my job is to keep Mikey in line. If I can't keep Mikey in line, and I got to worry about some fucking dude who was just trying to appease his own ego and maybe get a small paycheck out of the fucking thing. That's a selfish thing. I told you, if you can't do it, say no. There's no shame in saying no. I can't do this gig, and not coming. But if you come and you fuck it up, I'm sorry. I'm gonna be a dick to you, and I was a dick to him. Brother Dave, who was on this program, can attest to before. And I talked about this because Dave first sat in with us on a New Year's Eve gig, and I didn't know he was going to be sitting in with us. Fred had uh, lined this thing up for us where there were going to be 2 acts in one night. He was going to be the opening act for us. And he wrote to me wanting to know what songs we were going to play so that he didn't do the songs that we were doing. And I wrote back to him pretty tersely. I said, listen, I didn't even know you were going to be there. I said, I'm not down with this, but we don't do set lists. We don't think about what we're going to play in beforehand. And I'm quite frankly, I am a dick, and I don't like other musicians even asking me these kind of questions. And whoa, again. You know what? I said it's a deal breaker. If this is going to be a problem, I'll just as soon not do the gig and leave you there opening for nobody, or you can have the whole fucking gig. I'm not gonna fucking make a big complicated thing out of this. Don't fucking complicate my life. So Dave said, "No, it's cool, man. Dave is a good guy." And he was placating me and saying, "Oh yeah, it's fine." And then he showed up, and Mikey asked, he was there. He did his thing, and then we set up after him. And Mikey asked him if he wanted to sit in with us. And he said, yeah, we were just doing an acoustic duo that night. And he brought up a pedal board. And I just looked at him and I said, no. No, that's complicating things. We're doing an acoustic thing. You see me with a fucking pedal board here? No, it's an acoustic guitar plugged directly into a PA. If you can't do that, don't complicate things. And he rolled with the punches, and he played, and he was really good, and his attitude was good the whole night. We got along, and since then we've become friends. but he can attest to the fact that I can be a dick about my gig. Don't ruin my gig. That's the one rule I have in life. Don't ruin my gig, or I will fucking torch you. So I have to, you know, kind of put it out there that because the truth is, and I don't feel bad about being a dick. I don't feel bad about it at all. But I want it to be known that it's justified because I tell you in advance. I'm completely open and honest about it. If you're going to show up and fuck up my gig, I'm going to torch you. No fucking beating around the bush. I'm going to be a dick, is what I say. Going to be a dick to you. If you're ready for that, take the gig. If you can't deal with that, don't take the gig. For what it's worth, the drummer the other night said, "No, I appreciate it, man. I get it. Sometimes you got to be a dick. Yeah, sometimes you got to be a dick. I mean, if I have a big responsibility to make sure the show goes right, and it's all on me to make sure the show goes right. And if you're ruining the show for everybody, not just for the band, not just for me, but for the audience as well, you're ruining that. Whose job is it to put a stop to that? Whose job is it to keep things under control? Mine, always. So yeah, I was a dick. I was a dick Friday night. I've been a dick a lot in my life. I make no apologies for it because I'm honest about it. A lot of people can't be honest about it. When they're a dick, they try to rationalize, justify, whatever. No, no fucking excuses. I'm a dick. I like when things are upfront and honest. Listen, if I used to, and I'll get off this fucking rant. I used to sub quite a bit. There were times when I ruined other people's gigs, and I felt terrible about it. And this is why I don't do sub work that much. If I'm not absolutely 100% sure that I'm not going to ruin your gig, I'm not going to take sub work ever. I got to know in my heart and my mind that I'm going to fill in and make things work for you and simplify, not overplay. I'm not coming there to show off. I'm not coming there for my ego. I'm coming there to do you a favor and support you. The paycheck is just whatever it is. It's gravy. It's not what I'm there for. And if that's the case, and I fuck up your gig, then I should be embarrassed. I should be embarrassed myself. I should be a dick to myself and out myself as a fucking idiot who came and ruined your gig. That's my outlook on it. I would never do that to somebody. If there's any doubt in my mind that I might not be up to doing your gig, I won't take it. And I certainly won't overplay or try to complicate things when you don't know shit. Simplify. Lay out. Just there's no shame in not playing. Just sitting there with your hands crossed saying, I don't know this song. And if I try to fucking fake my way through it, I'm gonna fuck it up. I'll just sit out. Anyway. So yeah, starting off Monday, feeling a little like I have to explain why I've been a dick. Anyway, if you're just joining me, and you know Amy Miller, tell her I'm sorry I was a dick to her. Whatever she perceived as me being a dick, just saying that she had canceled on me the day before. Uh, didn't mean to be a dick in that case, but that's me accidentally being a dick. But it's a woman and it's a comedian, so I can say the wrong things and piss them off. That's just a matter of fact. But I do apologize for that one. I don't feel good about that one. Being the dick to the drummer, I feel good about that. Anyway, damn good coffee this morning. How you doing? You got some good coffee? It should be an interesting week. I do have some guest line. I don't have a guest lined up for today. No guest. This is going to be a short one. But tomorrow, oh, I'm in the wrong place because I'm looking back at March 22. March of 22 when Amy was supposed to be on the show. Um, okay, where are we? Tomorrow, Jade Esteban Estrada from Six City. He's going to be in the Sixth City Comedy Festival, and possibly another person who is going to be in that festival will be joining me tomorrow. Then Wednesday, that's still up in the air. I don't want to announce that until I know for sure. Uh, Thursday, I have Janine Intrator, who is Joanne Intrator. I apologize for that. Yeah, I'm being a dick again, getting names wrong. Who is an author, who is a psychiatrist author, and she's going to be talking about her book, her memoir. It has to do with Nazis stealing stuff from her father, which should be a really interesting conversation to have. Wednesday night, Randy Lee Bausla will be the guest on the evening program. So I do have a besides that, and then Frank. What is Frank's? Man, everybody's got difficult names. Why can't anybody be just Joe Smith? Frank Gianmarco will be with me on Thursday night. A special edition of the evening program on Thursday. So it is kind of a full week, even though it seemed like an empty week. Anyway, got some comments here. Who's GD Fed is do I want I guess, yeah, GD, if you want to pop on, I got nothing happening today. If you wanna come on, I'll send you a link on Facebook. How about that? You don't have to, but if you're so inclined, I will I will it's kind of complicated for me right now. It's kind of complicated. Uh, yeah, because I have to open up separate browsers. It's just like technical stuff. Every day, my life is a technical uh, challenge. Here you go, GD. And 1,000 of these messages in Messenger. Okay, I sent a link. Now I can close this browser and get the hell back over here. Anyway, Donald Trump, if you know, this is what I wanted to talk about today. Donald Trump's indictments, and you know all about them. People are commenting on it now. He has violated the terms of pre-release a lot by threatening people. Of course, in Trump's world, there's always an excuse. There's always spin. There's always bullshit about anything he does wrong. Everything, oh, it was a joke. Oh, it was not meant for that person. It was always. He's clever enough to make his crimes vague enough that he can always come up with some bullshit excuse. But you have to be an idiot at some point to buy them. To say that if you come after me, I'll come after you. The day after he got arraigned was not a threat to the prosecutor. You have to be a total fucking idiot not to see what the real truth is there. You have to be totally fucking blind and stupid. But the judge is not blind and stupid, and Jack Smith was not blind and stupid in this case. And they have given Donald Trump until 5 p.m. today to address the protective order that Jack Smith put in place. Now, he's not asking for Trump to be put in jail yet. He's asking for the judge to smack him with an order of silence so that he doesn't share discovery as information and evidence is released. Now, this is important, and I know it's we're living in the worst constitutional crisis this country has ever had, and I don't say that lightly. It's really serious, and I know people are just living life, going through life day by day, trying to cope with the insanity that we're living in. But this is the worst constitutional crisis we have ever faced. And it's not going to get any better for the short term, but it's not going to get any better with stupid people commenting on stupid or sometimes deceitful, more often deceitful and sometimes just cult followers, all three are into this, making excuses or making comments on this that it's about free speech. It's not about free speech. Conspiracy is not about the words you say. Conspiracy is about the plans you put into effect and action. People talking about, oh, Trump he just challenged the election. No, he did not just challenge the election. He outright lied about it. But that's not what the case is about. The case is about, and I'll just wrap this up before I bring GD in here. The case is about what he did. What he did, and there are people who are going to testify to this. Mark Meadows, his chief of staff. Rudy Giuliani will flip. I believe Jared Kushner and Ivanka will testify to this as well to keep themselves out of jail. That what he did was say to Mark Meadows, his chief of staff, and Rudy Giuliani, his best bud since the days, ironically, of Sammy the Bull and John Gotti. And the irony there is lost on just about everybody. And I'll talk about that with GD in a minute. But what they're going to testify to is that Donald Trump told them to put Roger Stone into action to gather up the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers and the Army of God, pay for their hotel rooms, get somebody like Ali Alexander to organize the whole thing, and to strike the Capitol. That is not free speech, folks. That has nothing to do with the First Amendment. That is a plan he ordered to be put into action. That is the evidence that Jack Smith will bring to trial. How do I know that? Well, where's Mark Meadows been? Mark Meadows, Cassidy Hutchinson basically gave the January 6th committee that story right before Mark Meadows went into hiding. She was Mark Meadows' assistant. She told us this. Donald Trump was behind the entire attack on the Capitol. It wasn't about him saying the election was rigged and continue to say the election was rigged. It was about him starting a conspiracy, a plan to overthrow the government, a plan, Mike Pence will testify to this, to illegally have Mike Pence decertify the votes and send them back to the state. That's what it was. It's not about. So anytime you hear one of these fucking pundits saying, "Oh, free speech," what about lies and every president has lied. Why can't they all be prosecuted? That's all fucking smokescreen. Bullshit. Flat out bullshit. It's not about what he said. It's about what he did. And here's a guy who's been on as recently as last week. I look forward to having him on quite often because he's a good guy with a lot of insights and he knows his shit. He does his numbers and all that kind of stuff. G.D. Henderson, welcome back.
Hey, how's it going, man?
It's going okay. I'm stressed out by this whole fucking constitutional crisis that we're going through, and every day is stressful because we hear people putting out scenarios like Trump is going to get convicted and elected. He'll be convicted, be in jail, but still win the election, then pardon himself. All of that is unconstitutional, and it's crazy because if he's convicted on grounds of being part of an insurrection, the 14th Amendment says he can't can't hold high office,
Right.
but Congress can override that with 2/3 vote in both houses, which would never happen. But people are putting out all these scenarios, and it's just driving me fucking nuts. How do you deal with it? I mean, how do you stay like?
Well, to be honest, in my house, I don't have a whole lot of choice. I have to remain the same-ish one because my wife takes this to heart totally. I don't know if you know who Rachel Maddow is or Tom Hartman.
Of course.
If you know who they are, okay.
Yeah.
You know how left they are?
Yeah.
If you take a left turn past them, you'll find my wife. Yeah, so if you go to Rachel Maddow, make a left to Tom Hartman, make another left, you'll hit my wife. And she's like, I don't understand this. Why are all Trump people so stupid? I don't. Why are they stupid? Why are people so stupid? I need a drink.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I have gone from not gotten past that and accepting that some of them are that stupid and some of them just so much want to win. They want to be on the side that's winning and they want
Yeah.
their team to win that they overlook all that fucking stuff. And so there's two groups there. You have the stupid people and then you have the people who are willfully in denial of what they
Yeah.
know is true, and then you have people who are completely deceitful on purpose, and so there's three groups there, and if you put them all together, they add up for enough that it makes the race competitive, even with a fucking guy who's going to be convicted of insurrection still having a chance to win the presidential election is fucking mind blowing.
And there are people who just want to blow shit up just because they can blow shit up.
Right.
And it wouldn't matter, and it really wouldn't matter who the president was or the candidate was. They just want to blow stuff up.
That's true.
You know, and they're like the whataboutism people. It's like, well, what about this? What about that? And it's like, well, both sides cheat. Both sides are dirty. But you know, it's like, no, that's okay. Yeah, I'm of the opinion, and I think that opinion will probably get you almost anywhere in life. If you take my opinion, it'll probably get you anywhere in life. Anywhere you want to go, use my opinion. I
just want to get Amy Miller to forgive me for whatever I said that pissed her off. That's all I want. Where I want to go in life. But go ahead.
I'll call her. She'll forgive you. But that everybody has an agenda. Now, whether or not they want to own up to it or not is something else. But everybody has an agenda, and the worst people are the ones that want to call out your agenda but don't want to admit their own.
Right.
You know. And so it's I've read so you'd ask me about the difference between a comedian and a certified forensic humorist.
Yeah.
Copies of the indictment, the first indictment, then the succeeding indictment, and then the new DC indictment.
Right.
Okay. I've read all of them and taking notes.
So have I. And here's the thing, but that I think I don't think anybody who is talking about this stuff has put this up, because they talk about the hope that Trump can win the election so that he can pardon himself, which it's never been challenged, but I don't think even a Trump-appointed Supreme Court would see that as what the presidential pardon power was supposed to be, about being able to pardon himself. But given all that, let's say that he can get away with that. He can't pardon himself for what's about to happen in Georgia, because the president has no power to pardon a state convicted criminal, and he's going to get indicted this week in Georgia. People are losing track of this. She had Fannie Willis has ordered the streets secured in front of the courthouse for this week. I mean, that doesn't take a
and 80% of their people are working from home.
Right. Yeah.
80% of their staff are working from home.
Right. So he's going to get indicted and convicted there, and no matter what happens, and then it becomes a power play, like between the feds and the state of Georgia. I mean, who gets him? But even if he got elected and tried to pardon himself from the federal crimes, he can't pardon himself from the Georgia crime. So once the GOP realizes that, then they're going to have to scramble and say, we got to take this primary seriously. We got to come up with a real candidate. They hate DeSantis now. And they did that to themselves by running him, and then Trump just fucking destroying him. And now he's out there. So they don't have anybody at that point. It's they're going to have to kind of scramble at that point and realize we can't run him. Does he try to run as a third party guy from prison? This is what fucking is driving me nuts. Like, I can't stop thinking about it. Like, what? Because I want to know that the bad guy in the black hat, in the Western, that guy ends up getting what's coming to him. And I feel like every fucking time with this guy, he's like the Teflon Don, and just gets away with everything.
It almost feels like in The Princess Bride, when the Fred Savage character says, "Jesus, Grandpa, why'd you read me this story?"
Yeah.
He's like, I can see you getting a little upset. Let me put this book away. No, you can sit down. You can sit down. Sit down, Grandpa. I'm okay. You can finish. Well, it looks like Trump is hasn't lost any support. And what the fuck, Grandpa?
So the part that the irony that I was talking about before, Rudy Giuliani was intricately involved in Sammy the Bull Gravano
Right.
flipping on John Gotti, who was the Teflon Don, where that name actually started with the Teflon Don, who had been tried and acquitted like 3 or 4 times, and they finally got his main guy to flip on him. And that made all the difference in the world. The irony of that coming back to, and Rudy Giuliani being the guy to flip, it's like you couldn't write that in a Shakespearean play or anything. I mean, it's just it's sweet irony, but nobody's even like paying attention to that. But to me, it's just like reality is becoming entertainment for a lot of people. But that.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you can't dream that scenario up. I mean, you could, but nobody would believe it if you put it into it would say, no, this movie's not believable, man. That would never happen in real life. But it did.
Yeah.
And it's gonna.
It's just when you said Teflon Don, I was thinking about the fact that if they were just trying to say non-stick, and if Teflon had not been invented, what would they have called him? Because before I think we just greased pans.
Yeah, lard greased pan or something.
There'd be like the lard pan Don, you know. And just like the Watergate Hotel, we call there's such and such gate, such and such gate, such and such gate.
Everything's a gate, right?
Right, but if it had happened at a Howard Johnson's, it'd be like the such and such Johnson, the such and such Johnson. You know what I'm saying? It's just like some of these phrases, we just got lucky with what we call them.
Right. And now all these fucking crazy right wingers are trying to rewrite history and say that Watergate was a deep state operation to get Nixon.
Well, if Nixon was the deep state, then yeah, because Watergate was a Nixon operation.
Exactly. And yeah, it was and you can't deny the robbery. I mean, the robbery was real, and he destroyed the tapes, but we know what went on because his top people flipped on him and they were willing to go to jail. Haldeman and Ehrlichman, all those guys did time themselves. They did less time than they would have if they had not flipped, but they did flip and told the whole story. We know what happened, but this is just how desperate they are to try to, get out of it one more time, just to slip through the grips of justice one last time. And it's so fucking frustrating, man.
To me, one of the frustrating things for me has been that if you look through the history of these things, there's always been like Democrats knowing about it and not wanting to be the tough guy to say, hey, let's fix this. We're going to be the law and order people. Stop it, because they were afraid that one day it could be your turn in the hot seat. And you want us to be nice to you, don't you?
Well, yeah, I hear that, and I kind of laugh because, they could come after me if I actually stole classified documents and if I tried to cause an insurrection, they could come after me. But I'm not doing that, so I'm not really like worried that the DOJ is going to come after me.
Yes.
You're only worried about that if you're doing crimes. And you know what? If the Democrats have reason, if anybody in the Democratic Party has reason to fear that, then they should go to fucking jail.
Absolutely. That's if there's something about you or your character that prevents you from doing your job properly, then maybe you shouldn't be in that job.
Yeah.
But Johnson knew about Nixon meddling in Vietnam and did nothing. This was just before the election, saying, hey, guys, hold out because I'll give you a better deal.
Right, he had him on tape, but he couldn't. He was afraid to disclose that because he was illegally taping him or something, and now he would have to kind of say how he knew that.
Yeah. So, same thing with now after Nixon with Reagan,
Reagan.
and the Contra.
Right. Yeah.
Every time the Democrats could have done something to stop something, it's like they just held back. And same thing with, if it weren't for the January 6th committee, the Justice Department may not have ever moved on this one.
Right. Well, if America survives, and I really, when I say that, people think I'm being overly dramatic, or I really feel like we are at that kind of constitutional crisis where America might not survive. If somehow Trump gets elected and pardons himself and all that shit manages to fly, then I do think he has officially declared himself king, and America has, as we know it, has ceased to exist. And I don't think that's being over dramatic. But if we do survive, people like Cassidy Hutchinson are going to go down like Dolly Madison, like real heroes of history, like somebody who was willing to fight when the White House was on fire. I think Liz Cheney, who listen, there's a lot to disagree with her on politically and all that stuff. She agreed with, she voted yes on 93% of Donald Trump's agenda.
Yeah.
But she will go down as a hero for having the principles to stand up to her own party and say, this is not right. This is a bridge too far. I won't go this far for my party.
Yeah, Adam Kinzinger, quite a few people. And unfortunately, like right now, we don't remember them all. And maybe history will.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, and some of them did the right thing, but like, okay, Rathensperger did the right thing.
Yeah.
And then he turns around and goes, yeah, but I'm willing to suppress some voting rights right after this. Right after this, I want to suppress voting rights. You want to give people who do the right thing credit, but when they do the, how should I put it? We can't give them a pass. No. We don't, no clean slates. Just an attaboy for doing the right thing, doing your job. But I hate the fact that sometimes they make me say, yes, I agree with Liz Cheney on this.
Right. Bill Barr, who could have stopped all of this stuff if he would have fucking just played it straight with the Mueller stuff. He is saying that Trump will destroy America if he gets in again and all this stuff. But would you vote for him? Probably. He didn't say probably. Yeah. He said, I'll jump off that bridge when I get to it.
Yeah.
What
no, that's Chris Christie's line.
You're saying that this guy will destroy America, but you're going to vote? You're considering voting for him anyway? Where do you even listen to the words that are coming out of your own fucking mouth?
It's like, I realize that Jeffrey Dahmer may eat half the guests, but I'm sending him an invitation anyway. We'll see.
Hey, listen. And here's something that you can take heart in, that slavery might have sucked, but at least they gained some good skills out of it. So I mean,
like they came, like there were no civilizations built in Africa before there were slaves. So,
you have to be a slave to learn how to fucking swing a hammer and stuff.
Oh yeah. All the art, to be an artisan, to be an art, you have to, slavery. You couldn't have done it without slavery.
No, absolutely not. So you should be grateful. You should be grateful that
I am.
All right.
Because
what? The people who are saying that, the people who are seriously saying that, they're not volunteering to become slaves to improve their life. Your kids need training. Instead of sending them to college, just let them become slaves. Then they can learn a craft.
Absolutely, especially some of the people like DeSantis who apparently have no other skill other than talking shit. Yeah, give them a real skill. Let them pick some fruits and vegetables in the Florida heat.
Yeah.
For free.
It's fucking fun. Yeah. So going back to picking vegetables, last week you were on when JJ Carell was on. And I know I kind of cut you off a lot because he was the scheduled guest in that hour. And I wanted I wanted to let him say what he said, but there wasn't enough time to fact check him on everything. I mean, because he was just all over almost every fucking thing he said was a distortion or
Right.
just like made up stuff. This idea, and he wanted to pick Eric Adams as my mayor, like I'm
Yeah.
responsible for New York City, but the fact that he was claiming all these undocumented workers or illegal immigrants, as he called them, are in luxury hotels in Manhattan. That's a pure lie. That's been debunked so many fucking times. I wanted to say that, but I didn't want it to become like his fucking shouting match and all that stuff. But
what they might sometimes what they do is they'll find like one instance, like when maybe somebody put somebody up there, so there's one guy, so like instead of saying, well, there was like in Georgia, they found 12 people who voted before they died and died after they cast their ballots, early voting. 12. And Trump and them were yelling, was it 12,000? We have 12,000 people. It was like, no,
yeah,
it's 12. There are 12 people. We know who they are. It's like 12,000. And it's the same thing as like there are thousands of people in the hotels in Manhattan. They're getting room service. They're living off the government teat.
The biggest misinformation that he put out there, and I wrote an article on Substack about this and tried to kind of push back on it. But the idea that Trump had the border basically secured
Right.
when he left office is as far from the truth as you can possibly get. It was more the last year of Trump's, no matter what, because the metric, and I kept trying to get him to explain the metric that he uses for this, because if you're using apprehensions, Obama's lowest year was worst year was better than Trump's best year by far. So
yes,
and so that's where he left office. Now it did go. Apprehensions went up when Trump left office and Biden took over, but again, apprehensions to me is a very tough metric to measure things by, because to me it means that's the ones who got caught. It doesn't tell you anything about the ones who didn't get caught.
Yeah, and also they're saying people who got caught. Are they actually counting people who deliberately got caught so they could turn themselves in?
Right.
So like if they know they get across the border, they have to get caught and turn themselves in so that they can get into the process. They can get into the process. Like, yeah, okay, you got me. I want asylum. I'm seeking asylum.
Right.
So that doesn't say that the government's that the guards are doing their jobs. It just says that these are the numbers. These are how many people we've caught. It doesn't say how.
Right. Yeah. And the thing that, and I'm still writing this piece, the thing that really struck me, because on his website it talks about keeping these people out who don't share our American values. And I think that's fucking laughable, because when you talk about, because in the same breath that he talks about America leads the world in pornography and pedophilia, dude, if we lead the world in that stuff, that's what we value. I hate to break it to you, but you can't can't boast about how our values are so much better than other people's and talk about how we're all fucking perverts in the same fucking breath.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So, and you called him on it when he said, well, I don't use drugs, so I don't want drugs here. Well, that's your personal values. That's not the American values, because listen, and I'm not pro heroin or pro fucking fentanyl or all this kind of stuff, but it's clear that the people who are selling that stuff are not forcing it on America. It's part of the American values. We need to, and I wanted to bring this up because it is about supply and demand, and the Reagan war on drugs has always been about fighting supply instead of fighting demand. And as long as the demand's there, whether it's for migrant workers, cheap labor, all that kind of stuff, as long as that demand's there, you're gonna get people coming in, and that's our core values, dude. Stop fucking saying they don't share our values. They work for less money than us. They work harder for us for less money. I think their values might be a little better than the average American.
I mean, when you think about this again, people don't. At one point, when if a corporation or if a founder of a company wanted to get richer or better, they made a better product, or they found a way to do things better, like like Henry Ford and the assembly line.
Right.
They did innovation and scientific achievements. Now the way they do it is by just cutting wages.
Right.
So it's like a race to the bottom. It's nobody, and very few people are saying, I want to be innovative like so and so. They're just saying, I want to be rich like this person.
Right.
And being rich like this person doesn't mean you're contributing, or that you're helpful, or you're making things better. It just means you just are making things better for yourself.
Right.
So
Yeah.
there people are trying to get rich without being innovative or contributing.
Right. And the other part of it, and this sounds like I'm just like totally anti-capitalist, which I'm not. I am. Whoa, they got the voice again. Now Jordan Peterson is here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to break out in tears because somebody played a song that was so sad. I gotta cry. What the hell was I saying? Oh, the I am for moderated capitalism or regulated capitalism, and with a lot of regulations, because I think without a lot of regulations, capitalism can run amok.
Right.
And I think that's what we see is now is we're trying to do away with any kind of checks and balances on the super rich so that they can just pass laws and buy politicians and do whatever the fuck they want to get more money. And when is enough enough? Like if you had $240 billion, if I had $240 billion, I wouldn't know what to do with it. I wouldn't want to just keep making more. But somehow, once you get over a certain amount of money, I think it infects your mind that, like an addict, like I gotta have more, I gotta have more, I gotta have more. It's like when is it enough? I don't. I would be fine. I am fine with what I have right now, and living the rest of my life with it. And if I had more, if I had that kind of money, I'd be giving it to good causes. I'd be working. I wouldn't be wasting it and just throwing it at charities. I'd be like setting up foundations that work on problems and things like that, rather than buying Twitter so that I can influence an election and make more money for myself. It's just like it never ends. And I think this is part of our biggest problem is the greed and just love of money. And they talk about that. I mean, I hate to get biblical because I'm not a biblical person at all, but the love of money is really the root of the evil we're seeing in the world right now.
And also, a lot of times, these quote billionaires that are like, they actually are addicted to the power and the money. That is what their crack is. That is their crack, and that is as bad for them as crack is for the average, or at least what they're willing to do to get that is as bad as what a person who's addicted to crack is willing to do. Yeah. The only difference is because it's money, there's no treatment for it. It's Elon Musk can do whatever he wants. He's just eccentric, But if a crack addict if a crack addict bought something and drove it to the ground, or be like, no, he's crazy. He's obviously addicted to crack. Get him out of here. He can't run this Foot Locker store like that.
So I don't know where we go from here, but I
want to talk about you being a dick at the thing.
Me being a dick. Well, because I don't want my show ruined by people, and I give them the out before they even take the job. I tell them, if you fuck things up on me, I'm going to be a dick to you. That's the way it is. You know that in advance. You can say no now. Say no. Say no if you're going to fuck it up. If there's any doubt in your mind that you're going to ruin my fucking gig, say no. And then they come and they fucking ruin my gig. Yeah, I get a little fucking annoyed.
And I agree with you. I have quite a few projects that are recorded that had I been a little bit more dickish, the projects would have been a little bit more better. Because I was trying not to be a dick. Okay. And part of that, and to be honest, part of this is because growing up, nobody liked the uppity Negro.
Right.
Okay. And so, and because a lot of times, like when I'm performing well, a lot of the industry. When I was in the industry, when I was in the communication industry, I was like one of the only black person doing what we were doing back then. That was it. Like almost countrywide, I was like the black guy, and and it was so. I was even on the cover of a magazine for what we were doing, and it was like, let's get the black guy to show that we're diverse. It's
Yeah.
like the and I was
Token
wearing,
black guy.
yeah, and I was wearing so much gear. I was wearing so much gear like that you couldn't tell what race I was. It was like I was protective gloves, protective headgear, so you couldn't tell I was black. But they could say, look, no, the guy on the cover, he's black. He's the only one in the country, but we got him. We found him, and we got his picture. And so, but because a lot of times, most of the people I'm dealing with are white, and I'm trying not to be the stereotypical uppity Negro.
Right.
I'm holding back. I'm not being the dick I should be.
Right.
And now I'm older, and I'm thinking, how much better the products that I was doing would have been if I just been more dickish.
Right. Yeah.
And one of my best friends is like, I don't call him a dick, honestly, but that's what he does. I mean, we were performing together. He was conducting the orchestra, and I was playing. And this is the first day of rehearsal. First day of rehearsal. I'm usually a guitar player, but he wanted me to play bass. And he said, I want you to play bass because he says, I know you'll give me everything you've got. And he's right. I gave him everything I had, and it wasn't good enough on one song. And he unleashed on me, and we've been friends for like 20 or 30 years. And he unleashed on me like I stole the Lindbergh baby. And and I was a grown man. I was like in my late 30s, late 30s, and he almost brought me to tears that he got into my shit so bad. And he was like one of my best friends. To this day, we're my best friend. And I was like, and the only thing I could do is look at him and say, you're right. I should be better at this. I should be better. And he goes, well, we got 2 days of blah, 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 blah. And when we recorded it, he says, you got one shot at this. If you mess up, I'm taking the bass and I'm playing it.
Wow.
And he took because I missed the note, and he took the bass and he recorded it. So on that recording, it was like, oh, wow, GD, you did great on that side. No, GD did the whole song except the whole CD except for that one song. The hard part, that was Phil. He did that.
Yeah. Well, I have what is situational dickiness. Like, I'm not a dick to people in life in general, but when I have the responsibility of making sure the show goes right, and so I tell people up front, don't ruin this. If we have to do it without a drummer, it would be better than to have a drummer come in and fuck things up, or a bass player. And so I call it situational dickiness, and I own it. I mean, I don't shy away from it, and I don't fault anybody for thinking I'm a dick because of it. Listen, and the guy even said, I understand you got to be a dick sometimes. Yeah, this is one of those times where you have to be. It's like, it's my family. This is my thing. This is my life. This is my show. And I'm the guy responsible for making sure shit doesn't go fucking south on us. And you're the guy making it go south. I'm going to be a dick to you. I'm sorry. But I have in the past, and this was the concern. We had a sub bass player one time. The main bass player called in. He had chronic diarrhea, and he wasn't coming to the gig that night. I got 3 hours to find a fucking sub bass player. I'm calling everybody, and nobody is available. And so I finally put an ad on Craigslist, and this guy responded, and he said, I think I could fit the bill. And I said, yeah, I don't really know you. I'm kind of scared, but we need a bass player. And he came down, and he couldn't tune his bass. I had to tune his bass for him.
Oh.
And then 3 songs into it, I stopped the show. I said, we're going to take a break. And I went over to him. I said, get your shit off my stage. Here's $50. Go away. And everybody was like, and then we did the gig without a bass player. And the drummer said, that's the best executive decision I ever heard anybody make. Because that guy was ruining it for everybody. I mean, just had no clue how to fucking play.
Well, I know that if somebody tells me what the gig is and I can't do it, I tell them, because I don't want to ruin your show, and I don't want to make it so that you never want to work with me again. And I also don't want to make it so that I embarrass myself.
Right, exactly, and I
Yeah,
give them that out, and so
yeah,
if I give you that out and you still fucking insist on doing the gig, yeah, I'm gonna get a little fucking dicky about it. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
I used to play. I used to when I used to be when I used to be a really good guitar player. I was never a great guitar player, but I was really unique and different, which is what used to piss off my drummer. When our drummer quit, he goes, "Oh my god." He looks at the bass player and he goes, "Phil, you're great. You're a phenomenal bass player." He looks at the keyboard player, goes, "Doug, you're great. You're a classically trained pianist. You're fantastic." And he looks at me and goes, "You suck. You suck." He goes, "You don't sound like anybody." He says, "Pick a style, any style. You don't. What's wrong with you?" Because you just suck. And 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 I went, "Okay." And then like 5 years later, I ran into him and he goes, "I apologize." He goes, he goes, they're guitar players that are just starting to do now what you were doing back then, and I just wasn't. My ears just wasn't attuned to it yet. He goes, because I used to like to play. Well, I loved Eastern music, like gamelan and stuff like that.
Right.
And so I treat notes as I don't care about the what music theory says should be the note that I play. I want to play the note that I hear in my head that should go there,
Yeah.
which drove him crazy. And I would, even if I use it as a passing note, it'd be like, yeah. No, it's like,
Yeah.
so I was like, no, I'm sorry. That's how I want it to sound. I
Right.
know it sounds bad to you, but this is how I want it to sound.
Yeah, well, there are musicians, and especially if they're doing original music, who search for that
Yes.
ability not to sound like anybody else their whole life. It's a challenge for them and I think I'm guilty of, as a songwriter, I know I'm guilty of the opposite. Of being or a lot of my songs, people say, "Isn't that a Beatles song? Isn't that a Stone song? Isn't that whatever?" Every song is compared to somebody else, and it reminds them of something, and I could, too similar to the point of almost being plagiaristic type of stuff, where it really feels like a Beatles song, it feels like a Stone song. You can pick any genre of any uh, that I write in. One song people keep swearing I ripped off the Black Eyed Peas,
Yeah.
or with a song I have called Maybe Tonight. But my song was written before their song. I got a feeling tonight's going to be a good night. I published my song was out 2 years before them, but I'm still getting criticized that it sounds too much like that. It's a direct ripoff of them. No, if anything, and I don't think they heard mine, but if anything, they ripped me off. I mean, I was out 2 years before that. I was such a fucking good thief that I did it 2 years before they came up with it.
You are the Sean Connery of
Right.
thieves. Yes, you.
Yeah. But let me ask you, because in that picture I saw of you on stage with the guitar, you have like you have like stacks of amps behind you. What you're
Oh, now I'm okay. Let me show you. I'm going to do this if I can. See that? I don't know if you can see that. Oh, and
yeah.
here's the scale. Here's my hand. This is the one of two amps I have. They're both the same size. This is my guitar amp. My bass amp is the same size, and all that other stuff belonged to the venue.
Ah.
The venue, which is it's called the Metropolis Art Center. I'm gonna hate myself now, but it's in Mechanicsburg, PA. I think it's called the Metropolis, and they have a lot of live bands there. That's the main thing that they do is live bands. And there was a band called Come Over Here. They were a punk parody band, and
Wow.
they wanted someone to open for them. It's because they're not like I said, they're really they're good musicians, but they parody punk songs,
Right.
and not even like rip off like Sheena is a punk rocker, and then they'll change the words. Like, no, it's like their original material, and it's really tongue in cheek. And if you have to understand, I take that back. You can enjoy the music as good music. You can enjoy the lyrics as comedy. But if you enjoy the whole show, then you understand punk,
Yeah.
And so, and they wanted someone to open for them who could be who could do music and comedy. And as soon as I said, I'm your guy, you didn't have to look. I said, you don't have to look any further. I'm your guy. I said, just hire me. This is it. Because I knew, as soon as I said, look, I know there are like 10,000 comedians in the Baltimore, Washington, Pennsylvania, DC area. And I know like 7,000 of them. What they wanted, there are only 3 of us that could do it, and I do it better.
Right.
So I said, I'm your guy. And so I opened for them. I did an hour set for them. And so it looks awesome, doesn't it? With all those amps behind me. I am just playing through that amplifier right there, and they've mic'd it. They've mic'd it, so it's coming through everything, through the PA system. And they said, you can use our stuff. I said, no, because I've been practicing with this.
Right.
And I know how this sounds.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want to take 20 minutes setting up, learning how to get yours to sound like this thing. I said, give me 2 minutes, and I'll get the sound I need. Here we go. Dot, 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 dot. Here we go. I'm ready. They were like so impressed. They're like, do you need a sound check? I said, just for volume. And that's it. And I said,
You're speaking to the choir here, because I definitely am of that mindset. You should play with your equipment that you are comfortable getting your sound on. There's nothing more difficult than trying to plug into an amp you've never plugged in before and get it to sound exactly the way you're used to it on your equipment. It could take forever sometimes. Sometimes you can get lucky and just be like in the ballpark, but most often it's just like, well, it's not as warm, it's too warm, whatever. It's all those kind of things. And then God forbid you need to like have different effects set up and all that kind of stuff. Like if you're using all that kind of stuff complicates stuff. I am always like, no, let me use my stuff.
Yeah, and so literally my sound check, I was on the stage, set up in and because I've had to modify what I do because of comedy. So if I'm practicing and I'm like doing an open mic, I can't just say, next up is GD Fenderson. I can't say, but I need 5 minutes to set up and do a sound check. It's like, no, I set up everything. I get up on the stage, and while they're introducing me, I'm plugging in. It's like, okay, I'm ready to go. That's it. I have like 30 seconds while they're introducing me to plug in my amplifier. Or if I get there early enough, I'll plug it in with my extension cord, so it's already plugged in. I'm just carrying it on stage with me, setting it up, and that's it. And that's just for open mic, so I can practice something in front of people. Because, like if you're doing a regular song, you can jam. Because if everybody knows the words, they can sing along. You could take a song that's only 2 minutes long, like Norwegian Wood or something. Actually, I don't know how long is Norwegian Wood. I don't know how long that is.
Yeah, it is about 2 minutes and 15 seconds or something. It's pretty short.
Okay, so you can take that, but you get a crowd. You can turn to like 5 minute, 6 minute song, and everybody's loving it. I'm doing a song parody, and I'm getting laughs. But I have a song. I have to like keep going, and and so people are like laughing even though I'm there. And it's a totally different thing than a regular song.
Right.
And so sometimes I actually will mess up because I'll hear a laugh where I'm not used to hearing a laugh, and it throws off everything. And so instead of something being 4 measures long, it's like now it's 8 measures. So I can't do what I do with a band.
Right. I understand that. Yeah. You know what? I am loving, because I'm doing more acoustic solo shows than I ever have. I'm probably doing 100 of them a year now. And I love the freedom of playing without the band, just because now I can do anything. I don't have to worry about who knows what and who's queuing people for changes and all that kind of, or there's a stop coming up and I got to let, subs know about where the stop is. I could just do whatever I want. And I love that. I love the freedom of doing that.
Now, when you switch to doing solo, I'm sorry to me, but when you switch to doing solo, if it's a song like you're used to hearing, like say 4 pieces, and you're not, and the first couple of times you do the song and you don't hear the bass, you don't hear the drum or something, a paradiddle that would move the song along, you don't hear that out there. Does that mess with you, or did it mess with you?
Well, I really try to do it myself. Do it all. In other words, I have become a big fan of the kind of the school of uh, percussion parts, bass parts, and Travis picking all at once, so I can play several parts. If I can't do that, I will sing. Like if there's a horn part, I'll sing the horn part. Uh,
Yeah, yes.
uh, drum parts I will kind of play on the guitar while I'm doing stuff. Sometimes I'm playing the drum rhythm like a slap thing instead of strumming and playing the chords, but playing the drum rhythm with all those kind of stuff. But yeah, I want it to sound as full as possible. I hate I really hate when people try to make up for that with tricks like loopers and stuff
Right.
because I feel like the timing, the groove is never right. They're listening too close to all that stuff. If you can't do it, with just an acoustic guitar, the looper is just going to complicate stuff. And
Yeah.
I know that will cause some people to get mad at me for saying
I
it.
know
People I
there
know
was
who use loopers.
when I used to play in the band back in again, this is one of the things that used to drive the old drummer crazy. But there was one song that like I was the only guitar player. We had one guitar player, a keyboard player, bass player, drums, and vocals. And there was one song that in order to do what I wanted to do, I had to wear two guitars at once.
Right.
And one was just tuned to an open chord, and I needed because I needed that chord, but I needed it to sustain. And in my head, I needed it to sustain. So I would like strum that chord on that one guitar, and then I'd play what I wanted underneath of it on the other guitar. And
Wow.
and the funny thing is, because I always stood in front of the keyboard player, he never realized that that's what I was doing. He thought I was doing like a cheap trick thing, like Rick Nielsen would do, like have on three guitars he played.
Yeah.
He never realized that what I was doing. He was like, until like it was like years later, I was talking about. He goes, "You were actually playing both guitars?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "I thought you were doing like a Rick Nielsen thing." I said, "Oh, fuck Rick Nielsen." No,
Yeah.
he's good. Rick Nielsen is good.
Yeah.
I've met him.
Right.
We hung out, and I can say this now because he's retired. Right? We smoked joints together. Me and the Cheap Trick band.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I smoked a joint with Tommy Chong.
I interviewed with him. I interviewed him for 2 hours, but there was no joint.
Yeah, but that's something I'm proud of, that I smoked the joint with Tommy Chong. But let me ask you about this, coming back to music and comedy, because there are a lot of guys who do, and I think most of them badly. The funny guitar guy who just comes up with an acoustic guitar or a piano and does like really bad parodies and stuff. When you tell people that you're both a musician and comedian, that's probably because there's a stereotype and that of that really bad, goofy old guy generally coming out
Right.
and doing really bad parodies of sitting on a cock 'cause I'm gay.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah. I'm because I'm an actual songwriter. Like you. I'm like you. Because I'm used to writing real songs. I just stopped writing. The only reason why I stopped writing songs is because I got to the point where I couldn't match the music in my head to what my hands could do. My
Yeah.
hands had gotten to the point where they could not play what was in my head, and it was just so frustrating that I was ready to just give up music altogether. Matter of fact, I stopped playing for like 10 years because I was just like, I can't. I can't stand to hear the difference between my brain and my hands. I can't.
Yeah.
But when I'm doing like the song parodies, like I said, I'm an actual songwriter. I try to write the best lyrics that I can.
Right.
I try, even though, but I want them to be funny, but I write the best ones I can. And because the songs are familiar, I try to stay as close to it with the guitar as I can, even though the words are like really going to be like, oh, okay. I'll give you an example. One of my favorite parodies, which I can't do live yet. I haven't been able to do it live yet. I've only been able to do it on YouTube. It was Painted Black by the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
And it's and instead of it being painted black, let me see. I see a red car, but I think the driver is black. So See, and the song is told by the point of view of a police officer pulling over. Okay. See, and that is one of my favorites, but I can't do it live yet because Paint It Black, the actual song. I mean, if you listen to it, most people just think of the hook, down, 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 down. But if you did just that for 4 minutes, people be like, where's the rest of the song? You know, it's like, but there's like bass and guitar and drums underneath of it.
Yeah.
You know, but I would love to be able to do it because the lyrics are so poignant, and also the lyrics are really good. Okay, I mean the lyrics are good. Now, people out there, if you don't believe me, on my website www.sogdfunny, there's a link that says karaoke songbook. You go to the karaoke songbook, you go to page 1 of the karaoke songbook, and you'll be able to find the song "Paint It Black," and then it'll tell you what page to flip to in the karaoke songbook.
GDfunny.com.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, that's like I said, but that's one of my favorite song parodies that I do. I just can't do it live yet. Because if you've ever listened to the Paint It Black, like I said, it's known for the hook, but that's not all there is to the song. So if I want to make that song identifiable, I have to be able to, on a guitar, I'd have to play it, but where am I going to get the hook from?
Right.
I'm not that good that I can play the hook and the chords.
I just, because I'm so curious, because I know, listen, I don't mean to insult people here, but you as a black man singing that song, it's fucking hysterical. But I know some white guys who would sing that song with true racist intent, and they would laugh at it for a whole other reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. Like with meanness in their heart. But and it's weird that you can just interpret that in some way. Like, it's fine. I get it when you're saying it's fucking hysterical. But,
and the thing is, to me it's funny. And remember, if you watch a YouTube video, I'm like trying not to laugh. Remember, I am laughing, and I'm smiling, and I'm trying not to. And I did like 5 takes, and I still kept laughing at the same part because I'm like, oh, people have no idea how funny this is. Or how clever this is. People just won't know unless they dissect it. It's like they have to know. And I'm really like, I'm singing and I'm praising myself for the lyrics. I'm like, no, this is really good. This is good. But and it get like 61 views. It's like, no, because you don't understand my art.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a good time to wrap it up because I was only planning on being on for an hour today. I'm glad you came on and we got to spend some time together. I will see you next Tuesday we're doing a taping of your show. What's the name of your podcast again?
Done Way Past Funny.
Done Way Past Funny. And are we going to be talking politics or are we going to talk comedy, music?
We can talk about anything you want. The purpose of the show basically is to get your take on the world of comedy.
Oh, well, I got lots of that.
Yeah, see, and that's in the butt. We'll talk about like, your music is like, to be honest with you, I interviewed, for example, interviewed Tommy Chong, who's really known for things like all the movies and their albums and stuff. The interview was 90 minutes, was 2 hours long, and I think an hour and 15 minutes of it was about music.
Right. Yeah. No, me too. First time I met Tommy, we talked about music for like 3 hours.
Yes. And the thing is, and people don't realize that he's. I think that if it weren't for comedy, I mean, music was probably his first love, I guess. But that was like, and he talked about the music, the band. Okay, I'm gonna spare people. If people want to watch interview with Tommy Chong, if you're not hooked after the first 5 minutes, you're dead inside. But Tommy Chong used to play in a band in Vancouver.
Right.
And it was him and 4 black guys.
Right.
I don't know. You know the story?
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember the name of the band very well.
Yes. Okay. And so we were talking. We were talking, and I I mentioned he when I interviewed him, he had like all these guitars on the wall, and I said, do you still play? And he goes, oh, not as much as I want to. I would like to play. I said, that's a shame, because if you're still playing, I was thinking we can get 3 more niggers and get the band back together.
Yeah.
And he just bust out laughing because actually, I think I said, actually, I messed up and I said 2 more niggers, but he didn't correct me. So he may have already had one ready to go.
Oh, yeah. Doesn't everybody?
Yeah, I would think so. Probably a bass player. No. So,
Tommy's a great guy, but
yes.
He will go off on tangents and stuff, but then come back to I do think music was his first love, and that's what he always comes back to. At least the conversation always comes back to, even when we're talking about comedy, he talks about it in terms of rhythms and that kind of stuff, and
Yes.
improv
Yeah.
and all that. Yeah, so good stuff, man. I love Tommy. He's a really good guy. Really good guy. And so good for you for getting him on, and you should get him on more. I'm sure once he does your show, he'll probably want to do it all the time.
Yeah, he did. He says, I want to do it again. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna let you get a little bit more experience under your back. We can do it in a few months. Because I said, Tommy, I don't know how much more you have to talk about. Let's give you a few months to give you something else to talk about.
Yeah, I think he gets, he really enjoys talking about a whole variety of things, and politics he can get involved in too. Sometimes, and this is surprising, like he will, because I know we talk about your wife being left of Maddow. I think he generally is left of Maddow, but then sometimes he will throw a bone to the right wingers, and I'm like, that you just fucking threw me for a loop. I don't know who I'm talking to anymore. What happened to Tommy? But he's all over the map with his ideas and stuff. And sometimes, like everybody, we don't have to agree on everything, but
Yeah.
he's always a delightful conversation.
And also, he's like, you and I are both in our 60s. He's in his 70s now, or late 70s. I can't remember.
He's 83.
83? Okay.
Yeah.
He's 83. Yeah. So he's seen like 20 years more of stuff than we have, and he's seen it in Canada and Detroit. Right. He's been like all over the world working and playing and stuff. So he's got, I can understand like a different worldview.
Right.
Because
absolutely.
My worldview is based on the US, and I drove through Canada once. That's my worldview.
I've been to Canada, but the parts of Canada I've been in were very, I've been in downtown Toronto. I've never been to downtown Montreal. I've, passed through Montreal, but most of it's been in cities that felt like American cities anyway. I don't really know Canada as I do America. I've been all over America. I've seen very redneck, I'm surprised. I heard that because they were talking about this Trump stuff, and they wanted to move to try out to West Virginia, and 92% of the entire state is white.
Yeah.
Holy fuck! I didn't think that was any state anymore.
And that's not even the whitest state.
That's not even the whitest state.
No, that's not even the whitest state. I think the whitest state is Montana. I think.
Oh yeah.
I should know, because I wrote a comedy routine, and I actually had to research all that stuff. And I think it was Montana. It was like I took copious notes on that stuff, like which one was the whitest and which one was the most Republican and stuff. And I think it was Montana.
That has to be. And listen, I don't. I'm not a white person who hates white people. Okay, let's just. But that has got to be the most boring fucking existence. I mean, culturally wise, everything. There's just no fucking. When everybody is the same as you.
Yeah.
There is nothing new to be experienced. It's got to be the most fucking boring existence, and I can't imagine that.
It's funny. My wife is from Maine. Okay, which is like probably the 7th whitest state, and that's because of the, I think, Somalia import.
Right.
But my wife, she goes, "We don't have any racism in Maine." I said, "You don't have enough black people."
Right. You gotta have somebody to be racist against.
Right, you have to have a quorum. There is a quorum to be racist. You can't just be racist against 0.5% of the population. It doesn't, because you need them.
Right. Yeah.
They're your housekeepers and stuff like that. Your babysitters, your nannies. So you
Yeah.
can't
Right.
you can't be racist until there are more of them than you want.
Man, I can't imagine an entire state being that white though. I really can't. Like everywhere you go, you see white people in West Virginia. That's got to be so fucking weird. Like you never see a person of color anywhere or not just black people. You don't see any people different than white, or different shade of white.
I gotta share this with you. Well, I've done quite a few shows in West Virginia because that's not too far from me. And I was doing the one show in West Virginia. This is one of those 90-minute sets I was doing, and I ended my set with 3 song parodies. One of them was a Cheap Trick song parody. One was a Proclaimers song parody. When I say Proclaimers, you're like, well, I know what song you did. It's the Proclaimers song parody, and a Stevie Wonder song parody. Now, the Stevie Wonder song parody was based on Just Enough for the City. And I do that song and I'm done with it. And the audience is pretty diverse because it's a comedy venue, because it's a comedy show. But when I was done, this guy says to me, he goes, I don't know who the Stevie Wonder fella guy is, but that song you did was pretty good. It was a pretty funny song. And I was, because he don't know who the Stevie Wonder fella guy is.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, just to give a little bit of perspective on that, my wife didn't know who John Lennon was.
And you married her anyway? Did you find this out before you got married?
No, I found that after we were married. Like, what do you didn't know who John Lennon was?
But did she know him under another name or something? Like the 4th Beatle or something? Or
she's younger, but even still, it's whatever. It still makes my head spin. But there are people who don't know. That was my point.
Well, I had a friend of mine who was dating a girl who was much younger than him, and to tell you how much younger she was, her favorite band was Nilly Vanilli. It's like, wow. First of all, they're not a band.
Yeah. Yeah, the fake band. Yeah. But yeah, okay. Anyway, I think it's time to wrap this up. I will see you next week unless you want to pop in. Listen, you're welcome to pop in any day you want. I mean, even if I have a guest and you want to comment on it, I really appreciate you. I feel like I'm glad I got to know you and look forward to not only talking to you next week, but possibly jamming with you someday and just sitting down and
you'll be such a dick to me. I'm so
I will.
I'm so average.
Yeah,
well,
no.
I'm not as good at. I'll be honest. The arthritis is getting to. It's.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Okay. Big time. My hands are shot. My hands are shot. My ears are shot. My eyes are shot. I don't know how I get through gigs as much as I do, but somehow, and people say that like they don't believe that I have severe carpal tunnel in my fretting hand, and this hand I got nerve damage. I can't feel 3 fingers at all. My eyes are bad.
That must make masturbating like really interesting.
I have to hire somebody. I freelance that out.
It's a contract.
Yeah. I go to youwork.com, Fiverr.
Go by Home Depot and pick up some people. No.
No, I go on Fiverr.
Okay.
Anything you want for $5, starting at $5. So. That's not a bad idea, come to think of it. Anyway, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to do a formal apology to Amy Miller here, and then I'm going to wrap it up so I can send her a little clip about how I apologize to her. Anyway, I'll see you next week, if not sooner. Thanks for coming.
All right.
Have a great day. Bye. G.D. Fenderson, SoGDFunny.com. Check out his karaoke songbook and all his comedy and all his music and all that kind of stuff. Dear Amy Miller, I apologize for whatever I said that hurt you. I apologize if it hurt you or offended you in any way. All I meant to say was that you had been scheduled on the show before because I am a fan of yours and I appreciate your work and I wanted to have you on the show. All I said was you made an excuse. I didn't say you made up an excuse. I said you made an excuse the day before. If that hurt you or if that insulted you, I sincerely apologize. I didn't mean to insinuate that it was a bad excuse. It was an excuse. And you didn't come on the show, and I was disappointed by it. But I wasn't saying that to insult you or say anything negative about you. And I sincerely apologize, and I hope you will reconsider and come on the show at a time that is convenient for me. I'm not that much of a bad guy. I know I start out by saying I'm a dick, but I'm not a dick to my guests in that way. Even people I really disagree with, as GD will confirm from our episode last week. I am not necessarily a dick to people I even really disagree with, and I certainly would not intentionally be a dick to somebody I'm a fan of. So I hope that I hope you accept my apology, and I hope we can move on from this, and I hope you will consider coming on the show sometime. Anyway, that's the show for today. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to turn on your radio. I'll see you tomorrow, and we'll talk about Six City Comedy Festival, which kicked off this week, I believe. Wednesday, Thursday is the official first show, but Wednesday is the kickoff of the festival. See you tomorrow. Thanks for coming by.
I Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me